Why is GRUB important for booting Linux? Imagine turning on your computer and seeing a menu pop up with different options to start your system. That's where GRUB comes into play. When you power on your computer, the system firmware, which could be BIOS or UEFI, kicks things off by checking your hardware. Once that's done, it hands control over to the bootloader, which is usually GRUB. Without it, your computer wouldn't know how to load your Linux operating system. GRUB stands for Grand Unified Bootloader. It's a small piece of software that lives in the master boot record or the FI system partition. Its main job is to find and load the Linux kernel into your computer's memory so the operating system can start running. Think of it as the gatekeeper that decides which operating system or kernel version to boot if you have more than one installed. This is especially helpful if you are using multiple Linux distributions or different versions of the same Linux kernel. One of the key roles of GRUB is to show a menu when your computer starts. This menu lists all available operating systems and kernel options. So, if you want to boot into a different Linux version or access recovery modes, you can do it easily from this menu. Once you pick an option, GRUB loads the selected Linux kernel along with a small initial RAM disk. This initial RAM disk contains drivers and files needed to initialize hardware and mount the main root file system. GRUB also offers flexibility. It supports many different file systems and can boot other operating systems like Windows or macOS through chain loading. This makes it very useful in systems where you want to run more than one operating system on the same machine. If a new Linux kernel causes problems, GRUB allows you to choose an older, stable version to boot instead. On modern systems with UEFI firmware, GRUB works smoothly by loading from the FI system partition. It can also display graphical menus and support secure boot features, which help keep your system safe from unauthorized software. When you install a Linux distribution, the setup process usually installs GRUB automatically. It configures itself to load the Linux kernel you installed and sets up the menu options. Without GRUB or a similar bootloader, your computer wouldn't be able to locate and start your Linux system. In simple terms, GRUB acts as the bridge between your computer's hardware and the Linux operating system. It's what makes it possible to start Linux smoothly and gives you control over how your system boots. That's why it's such a vital part of the Linux boot process.